All right, I'm going to try to start this 441 again today. Interestingly, I have two bikes in the shop that won't start, the 441 and the Green Norton. The differences between the two bikes, though, is substantial. The Green Norton, the engine was rebuilt 10 years ago and then put in the bike and never started. It sat idle, having been rebuilt, sat idle for 10 years. I mean, the rings, piston rings, may well have lost their tension during those 10 years. Maybe that's why we have low compression. But anyway, for any reason that I'm hesitant to try things like starting fluid and roller starters is that I have never seen this bike run. So I don't know if it can run in the condition it's in, so I won't force it to run. So we're working our way up. We're going to go through the ignition system next on this bike before we try to start it again. Now, the difference is on this 441 Victor is it has run. It ran in this shop about, 2 weeks ago maybe? And I was the guy who started it. Kevin had kicked on it like 40 times. And so I walked over it, blessed it, kicked it, and it started. And ran like a top too. It sounded really good. Now it's going back to its bad old habits of not starting. So I'm going to put it down. I'll show you that it's got really good spark. And on this bike, I'm going to take first of all, I'm going to take the carburetor off because the cap on the carburetor is not backwards, but facing the wrong way, which won't affect it any because it doesn't affect the slide, and this bike doesn't have a choke, so it doesn't affect it as far as any choke is concerned. But I'm going to take the carburetor off anyway. Take it apart, take a look through it, clean it, fondle it, play with it, and put it back on with the cap facing the right way. And I'm going to leave the air cleaner off and probably spray some starting fluid in when I try to start it next time. I'm willing to do that because this bike is a runner. It has run in this shop, which makes it completely and totally different than the Green Fastback. This bike I know will run, so I'm willing to try extreme measures to get it to run. Okay, that's the difference. So right now I'm going to go ahead and pull that carburetor off, take it apart, and take a look at the internals, clean everything out, and then put it back on and lower the bike and kick on it with starting fluid. And that's the plan for today. And it's roughly, oh gosh, what time is it? It's roughly, 11:15 already. We just got back from our morning walk with Steve, and we do that from about 8 to 9:10, and then come home. So that's the plan for today. Carbonizer comes off the bike for a quick look-see inside. All right, just before I pull the carb off, I'll show you the spark. Ignition on. Actually, see if on off. Okay, usually you'll get a spark when you go on off, but anyway, ignition on. All right, I'm going to kick it over and you can see the spark. Okay, so we got good spark and the engine has run, so the timing is probably okay. So I'm going to take the carburetor off now and take a look through it. All right, it's always nice to document what we got here. The slide seems to be in pretty good shape, not scored, not sticking, and the needle doesn't seem to be bent. I'm going to take it, let's see, what is this? This is a number 3 slide, yes? Yeah, it's a number 3 slide. Okay, let's see if I can do this one-handed. I'm going to lay the camera down for just a second. Okay, slide is out, slide is focused, and it's a 3-ring slide, and it's in the middle slot, so I see nothing wrong there. Okay, so I'm just going to leave this sit here. All right, let's go over and take a look at the carb. I'll start disassembly. One thing I noticed with the oil, or the gas that came out of it, felt oily. So I'm going to take a look at the gas in the float bowl and see what I see. That's interesting. That needle jet is flat all the way across. I think it should be a cutaway. I'll have to take a look and see what 441 calls for. That by itself is interesting. Okay. All right, this is interesting. I had an almost panic just a moment ago when I pulled the float bowl off and turned this thing over and realized, oh my goodness, it has the old 1978 and earlier pilot jet in the bowl. And I thought, what year is this bike? What year is this bike? So I ran back to my office and took a look at the work order, and it's a 1968 bike. So 68 was when the Amels, in BSAs for sure, but Amel in general, took this little pilot jet out of here, where it used to be 68 and earlier. This is your pilot jet. They took that out, and they instead pressed in an equivalent jet into this air passage right here, right about there where I made that black mark. So the new pilot jet from 1968 and on is inside this passage that goes like this, right about here. And you can tell if you just take the needle and stick it through, and when it goes all the way through, then measure it, bring it out, and you'll see that the tip goes all the way through the area where the new pilot jet would be. If the needle stops right here, then it's bumping up against the embedded new pilot jet that's in there. And that's the one you clean with this. When I said I cleaned this thing yesterday by going in here and didn't feel anything, well, basically, I was just rattling around in a hole in there, not really checking the jet, because the jet isn't there. The jet is here. The way it works is air comes through this area all the way through, this area over here, all the way through into this passage, across this passage, through the jet, which sucks air up, the gasoline vapor from, or the gasoline up from the bowl here. So it's complicated, but anyway, this passage has to be clear. This passage has to be clear all the way over to here, and they meet in the middle, all right? And then the spray, this is a mixing chamber, comes out these tiny little holes. So we're going to clean all of those. And I'm going to suggest to the client that this could be a good opportunity, win, lose, or draw, to put a new Premier on here, because this is a really old jet, old carb. Doesn't appear to be anything overly wrong with it, and the bike has run, but it would be a nice time to upgrade to one of the new Premiers. So anyway, I can also take this little cap out right here and clean this part of the passageways. I probably won't. If I can spray cleaner in here and see it come out here, then I'm in good shape. So, and come out here. So I'm going to do that. Matter of fact, I'll do it right here on camera. Let's see what happens. I'm going to take my cleaner carb cleaner. I'm going to take my little guy, this guy, and put him in. Let's see what happens when I spray carb cleaner in this passageway. You see it coming out? All over. That says this passageway all the way up through this mixing chamber and coming out here appears to be clean. See that? Now, if I do the same thing with that from this end, I don't know if you can see down into here, but can you see the jets coming out there? So we're coming out there. If I put my finger over this hole here, like so, and squeeze it out of here, it'll really come out of there hard. Let's see. Yeah, like a lot. Okay, so that means these passageways are clear, which is a good thing. They're supposed to be clear. Okay, but like I say, what an opportunity to upgrade to a new modern carburetor. But that mixing chamber has to be clear. And put your finger over here, spray it in here, and watch the two sprays. There's two holes there, they both have to spray. I don't know if you can see them. Let me come in from this side, put my finger over this, I'll put my finger over this side, and a ramadama ding dong. And let's see if you can see two sprays coming out of those two holes. Okay, there's two holes, and I hope you could see in there that they're both spraying. One's on the outside of the slide, one's on the inside of the slide. Now, what does interest me is this needle jet. This is the needle. Where is it? Hello. Hello, needle. This is the needle, and this is the needle jet in here. And I'm going to take it out, and I'll show you what I mean. I'll be back. Oh boy, this is interesting. This is the call it the jet block. Has the main jet on the top and the needle jet on the bottom. And I'm sorry, main jet on the bottom. Oh boy, main jet here, needle jet here. This needle jet is a thick wall, flat across, and it is so old it's archaic. They actually came out with a retrofit kit to replace these. This is really antique, and I'm going to suggest that we buy the upgrade kit to either upgrade this to the new style or buy a new carburetor. I would prefer to buy a new carburetor, so I'm going to contact the client and make that suggestion, because you're flogging a dog that's old and obsolete, and you need every advantage you can get, and that includes a new carburetor. The pilot jet, what did I do with it? It's a tiny little pilot. Oh, come on. I do this all the time. I just cleaned the pilot jet. Here it is, way over here. I cleaned the pilot jet. It's a number, pilot jet is a number 25. And it was clear. There's, I could actually see through it. And it was not clogged up. Let's see if I can, oh yeah, you can actually see through it. See that? It was actually clear, so I'm surprised. So I'm going to suggest a new carburetor, new Premier, just because. And then if we don't, then I'm going to suggest we buy the upgrade kit to bring this up to the later model Amel carburetors. Just because. At this point in time, we're just flogging a dog that I don't like. This seems high. Can you see this this lip right here? I can tell you right now, just by looking at it, that's high. And that's going to make the float level low. Let's just put this in here. Drop it down in here. And the way you check this is to very gently press down on the float, not the needle, okay, the float, and see where it lands. And when it's down there, you see how far down this is over here? That's about, it should be up here somewhere, just below the top, about a billionth of an inch. So that's too high. I can adjust that. The adjusting is weird. You heat the bowl and you tap that whole bottom part up or down using a drift. So you would heat this with the heat gun and tap this down a little bit in order to raise the fuel level in the bowl. Now there's no drain on this bowl. Once again, later models have the drain on the bowl, which is nice. And we'll see what the client says. At this point in time, I'm going to put all of this aside, pending no-go decisions on replacing the carburetor. So I'm not going to put it back together, By the way, this once again is the cleaning tool I use. It's from Lowbrow Customs, and they had 7 of them in stock, and I bought them all. So I really like these, because the cleaning tip is actually a drill bit, which has, you know, rough edges, and you can feel it when it takes the, see that? You can actually feel it when it scrapes accumulated crud, which is caused by our new gasoline, out of the internal, here I am up here somewhere. When it goes through the main jet, you can actually feel it cleaning the crud that accumulates, sort of like a filing cleaning. And no, it doesn't file it oversize. It doesn't drill it oversize. It just cleans it. So I like these, and yea verily, if you're a musician, buy guitar strings. If you're a mechanic, buy one of these. Contact Lowbrow Customs, they're online, and say, when you get some more of these in stock, you'd like to buy one. They're good guys. Okay, I'm going to shut this thing down and work on something else. Well, I just did a whole video with the camera not running, so let's start over. I want to talk to you about the needle. Oh Lord, kick the camera, Frank. This is the needle, and I don't know if you can tell if this thing will focus down or not. Let me do a zoom. You can see a worn line right about here, and although the needle itself isn't wobbly, it's straight, it's not bent. You can see the worn line, and I can feel the worn area here. I can feel it change as I run my fingers down it. That's because it sits inside the needle jet, and when you're running the bike at mid-range, it's right about here somewhere, and it's vibrating all over the place. I mean, it's doing this the whole time, and that's why it wears that mid-range area. Because when you're at idle, it's way down here closing off the jet. As you accelerate, it opens to give you more and more fuel. But in mid-range, which is right about here, and if you're looking close, you can probably see the wear. So this needle needs to be replaced on general principles. And if you're going to rebuild this carburetor with the properly new needle jet, you'll need a new needle for use in the needle jet. That controls your mid-range. So just one more thing to buy if we rebuild this obsolete carb into a rebuilt obsolete carb. Okay, so I'm going to go post this thing, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to tack onto the end of this video a lot of JPEGs, photos of bits and pieces and information about AMO carburetors. I'll time each one to 20 seconds. I hope I can do that, so you can have a chance to see some of the stuff that I've collected over the years having to do with AMO carburetors. It's a bunch of neat information. So I'll tack that onto the end. Let's see how it works out. Okay, I'm done for the day.